Hey y'all, my name is Gabby. Welcome back. So one of the records that I've constantly played in my head over and over and over again is that my life is so hard and everything for me is so hard. And the older I got, especially when I started approaching my 30s, I really started getting angry because I just didn't understand why. It felt like I was doing all the right things and taking all the right steps, but I just never really felt like I was getting anywhere. And when I started seeing people progress, I'm just like, why not me? Or I'll be like picking things apart. I can do that too. Da 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 da. You know, just creating this whole monologue constantly and just reaffirming the fact that everything was so hard for me. So it's probably no surprise to you that when the whole soft life era thing came out, I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to go for that. Like I want life to be easy, you know? They say life gets to be easy. Yeah, I want my life to be easy too. But then I started realizing that, yeah, life can be easy. Life does get to be easy. But for some people, they were already born into that. And on the other end of that, your life can be easy, but you still gotta work so hard to be able to get to that part of easy. And I'm not even talking about as far as like living a certain lifestyle to make a certain amount of money to buy the things you want. I mean literally to sit and have peace, you know? Peace is something that is always available to all of us, but we just have to tap into it. And that's actually really difficult to do. Like in the Bible where it says, Jesus said, peace be with you, my peace I give to you. We already have all of this peace, but it's like we have to unlock the door and actually walk into it, you know? But I was thinking about this lately because, as y'all know, if y'all watched my last video, I've been working through my anger for quite some time. And one of the things I have been mad about is just how hard it seems like it's been for me to achieve everything. And some things I realized after the fact were my fault, and some things were just the way my life was meant to be. So when I was reading the Bible, I was so excited to get to the book of Job because I'm like, you know, even if you don't really know the book of Job or his story, you know that Job was a righteous man. He lived upright. He did things that were pleasing in the eyes of the Lord, but still he lost everything. He literally just lost everything except his life, and even that was hanging on by a thread because he was so sick. And when I finally read it, it was an eye-opener because I thought he remained faithful the whole entire time, but Job went through, he was really struggling. There was a lot of spiritual warfare. There were times where he cursed his life in the day he was born. I mean, Job was struggling, like he was going through. So then after that, you know, when I got into the book of Psalms, so many of those Psalms were written by David. And a little history on David, there was one point in his time where he was running for his life. Like he was in fear for his life because Saul was jealous of him. His anointing had got stripped away from him, and David was called to be king. And once Saul lost that presence of the Lord, he just fell into all type of wickedness, like going to mediums and stuff like that. He was really trying to kill David, and David was on the run, and he hadn't even done anything wrong. And in so many of the songs, like he's talking about how he's been upright and he wants God to deal with his enemies. And then I just got to this song. It was written by the sons of Korah. I just want to read it to y'all real quick. It's like, what I'm trying to say is that there's a pattern, you know. This is the NIV version because I'm reading from my Bible. I have the King James version on my phone, so if you see a difference on the screen, then that's what that is. But this is Psalm 44 verse 8. It says, "In God we make our boast all day long, and we will praise your name forever. But now you have rejected us and humbled us. You no longer go out with our army. You made us retreat before the enemy, and our adversaries have plundered us. You gave us up to be devoured like sheep and have scattered us among the nations. You sold your people for a pittance, gaining nothing from their sale." This continues as they talk about how God basically abandoned them and left them for dead, okay? And how their enemies have taunted them and came after them. And then it goes on to say, Psalm 44 verse 17, "All this happened to us, though we had not forgotten you or been false to your covenant. Our hearts had not turned back, our feet had not strayed from your path. But you crushed us and made us hunt for jackals and covered us over with deep darkness. If we had forgotten the name of our God or spread our hands to a foreign God, would not God have discovered it, since he knows the secrets of the heart? Yet for your sake we face death all day long. We are considered as sheep to be slaughtered." So When I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's the same thing over and over. If this is recorded by Job, by David, by the sons of Korah, how many times has this happened to somebody over and over and over again, where you feel like you're doing all the right things, where you believe you are doing the best that you can in the situation that you're in, and nothing good is happening, everything is continuously hard, it seems like God is nowhere in sight, even when you really do love God and you believe with all your heart that he loves you too, you're just going down this tunnel of darkness and everything feels like so much strife. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is recorded over and over and over again. When I read these two last few Psalms, I'm like, oh my goodness, maybe that's the beauty of it all. You know, right there where it says all of these things happen to us and yet we have never strayed away from you. Maybe that's the beauty of it all. I'm in a place where I'm trying to really accept the fact that my life has been hard, but it's okay, and it was supposed to be like that. Like, if everything goes well all the time, yeah, you can give God glory, yeah, you can praise and bless people, but where's the faith in that? You know, where is the story in that? And it seems to be the same over and over with Job, with David, with all of these other stories where people felt like things were so hard and they shouldn't have been, and God was nowhere. Every single time God came back, every single time God came through. And does that not make the story even more powerful? You know what I'm saying? Like, when you really know and you really believe, you know that the number one reason God created you was to glorify him. You know your story and your will is built and created in a way that brings him glory, but also in a way that helps and serves others. There's so many times where we go through things. I know I personally have been through some things and I'm just like, what was the point of that? Like, how is that going to help me in any way? How is that going to help anybody else? But there's always a way that we can pour into somebody else. There's so many people out there, like, for example, like, if you really think about it, God created us to bear children. So it seems so cruel that so many people were born in this life and they literally struggle or cannot have babies. But in the same token, there are so many people out there who have mistreated their children, or who have gotten lost, or even have passed away, and there are many orphans left in this world. Some people really feel like God is not real and there can't be no God because there's evil in the world, but I think people really fail to realize that the devil is very real too. He exists too, and he has his own kingdom too. We have a sovereign God, so we can make our own decisions, so people follow whoever they want to follow. And so you have these who can't have children, but you have also these children who don't have a home, or who don't have a good home. There are some women who really were meant to be mothers, but meant to be mothers to these children who need them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be facing agony because you don't understand why you don't have children, why you can't have children. But there's a whole nother child over here facing agony, trying to understand, why did this happen to them? Why couldn't they have this A, B, C, and D type of parent, when there is a parent out there that is praying for them, or should be praying for them, for God to bring them together in unison. The point really I'm trying to make is that life is tough, but you're tough too. And God wants us to be able to lean on him, I believe, to really lean into what he has for us. We waste so much time crying about this could have happened, that could have happened, this shouldn't have happened, but look where it got you today. Even if you're in a place where you're not happy, because I've been there too, like, where I'm just like laying on my bed, bawling my eyes out, like, how did I get here? How did this happen? I tried to be diligent in everything I did and take all the right steps and be gracious and giving and forgiving. Like, how did I still get here? But there were so many lessons in all of that, because when I opened my mind up, I realized, girl, you got here because you lacked self-respect. You got here because you didn't have any discipline. You got here because you were being too nice. You weren't just being kind. You were being too nice. You were being a people pleaser. You got here because you've been lying to yourself. You got here because you've been afraid to tell people the truth. You got here because you've been afraid to hurt somebody's feelings. You got here because you ain't want to put that chicken wing down, okay? Like, you got here for a lot of the actions that you took. Yeah, there's sometimes that you got here because you couldn't help what somebody did to you. You couldn't help what some adult in your life when you were a child said to you. You couldn't help how that affected you. You don't know what you don't know. I heard this saying recently and it was so basic, but it made so much sense. He said, the more you understand, the more you understand. So then you'll know what to do. Exactly, like when you're in the midst of something and you don't know what's going on. I also read something lately that says when you're in the forest, you can't see the trees. It's like you don't really know what you're dealing with when you're in the middle of it. And then even when you come out of it, if you don't understand, you still are not going to be able to make sense of how hard your situation has been or why it's been so difficult. You really got to understand yourself. You got to understand your life, and you got to understand your God and how this works. You got to understand how the world works. You're not the only person out here who has done all the right things, worked so hard, grinded, and still grinding, trying to make ends meet for yourself, for your kids, for your loved ones, and still be struggling. You're not the only one, but you need to understand that it's not forever. You just got to understand it's a pattern. It's the way the world works. So many of these people in the past, like in the Bible, have gone through some of the very same things that you have. Either they've lived this righteous life or they've been trying the best they can in the situation that they're in, and they still feel like, God, where are you at? Where are you at? Why did you turn away from me? What happened? Like, we were good. We were good. And now when I really need you, you know where to be found. I also heard Joel Osteen say one time years ago, when you're in the wilderness and you cannot hear God, that does not mean God is not there. You've already built up this reservoir of faith with him when he was there and he was very present. And now you're in this time where you have to remember all of that to get you through this period of where you can't see a way out, where you don't see him, and just know. Like, you just gotta know. Sometimes it's not about how you feel, it's about what you know. And you just gotta know. You just gotta know that your life has been hard, yeah. But at the end of the day, if you stay sticking to what you know, and if you keep doing the work, you will find victory. Like, you will really find victory. And so many people say that without really acknowledging the real pain and hurt that people feel. I mean, y'all, I used to be on YouTube, like, how to see beyond your circumstances, searching all through my Bible app, looking for certain verses, looking through my Promise Bible, how to not be mad, how to not be angry, how to accept the situation for what it is, how to move on, how to forgive. I was diligently seeking all of this information while still trying to be what I thought was a good person, and I was still hurting every single day. There was a part of my life where I gave up, y'all. Like, I literally gave up. This was like the beginning of last year, actually. Yeah, I literally was like, I'm putting in so much work for what? I'm doing all of this for what? Like, I'm just about to get me a full-time job. I'm about to get me another part-time job, get my kids in these childcare programs, and I'm just about to grind. I really wanted a big family. I really wanted more children, but I don't know. I'm struggling. I'm just gonna keep the 2 kids I have, grind until I get them to 18 to be able to try to give them something to go to college or start their own business or whatever they want to do. And then I'm gonna get my little check and I'm gonna just live okay. Like, I really made that decision for myself that I was just about to push through and grind for the next 20 years of my life for my kids, and then finally be able to sit and rest in my 50s. Yeah, because like, if life is already this hard, and I'm trying my best to do this inner work, to be a good person, to follow the Lord and be more like Jesus, and things are just getting worse, things ain't getting no better, then why? I might as well sit in my sin. I might as well smoke when I feel like it, drink when I want to, go ahead and clock in, watch whatever I want to watch, you feel me? Lay with whoever I want to lay with. And why? Well, I'm about to break my back to be with a man who don't understand me. Well, I'm about to break my back to be in a relationship with a man who is halfway in, halfway out. You know what I'm saying? Like everything around me, I was like, for what? For what? What am I about to do YouTube for what? So I can be out here looking silly? No, I'm not about to do that. Like, y'all, I was like, period, poo, that's it. And then weeks were going by and it was just something in me that was just like, no, you can't give up. Like, you can't. That sounds so comical, y'all, but it's facts. It was really something strong in me that was just like, you can't. So I gave it. I was like, okay, I'll keep going. I'll keep striving and striding, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then I had this dream one night. I had prayed before I went to bed. I was like, God, what am I supposed to do? Like, what you want me to do? What am I supposed to do? Like, you been quiet for so long. What am I supposed to do? I went to bed. And then, like, I can't even explain what it was like, but it was kind of like the dream was opaque. Like, there was nothing really happening in the dream, but I just heard this voice. Like, it was like just this strong voice that said, do the last thing I told you to do. You need to know me. And when I woke up, it was like an earthquake was just in my body. Like, whoa, I need to read my Bible. And it's so crazy because it's like, why? Like, how is reading your Bible really gonna be something transformational for you? Like, how is reading my Bible is really supposed to turn this hot mess of a boat that I'm sailing around? But it's times like this that I'm telling y'all about right now, how when you read the Bible, you start picking up on these patterns and understanding that this is the way of life and it's not just you. Y'all ever been around somebody that just complain about their life and complain, and they talk about what happened in high school, they talk about what happened in middle school, and they really be mad? Like, they really be mad. And it's like, that was so long ago, you know? I used to be so mad that I didn't get into my dream school, which is UNC at Carolina. I went to East Carolina University, and there's been so many times where it's just like, girl, like, if you never would have went to ECU, you never would have met some of the best friends of your life. You never would have met your line sisters. You wouldn't have the children that you have today because you wouldn't have met their dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was so much already in this life that I took. God already knew the mistakes we were going to make, the decisions we were going to make. If your life is hard, it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be. That means there was something you didn't know. That means there was something somebody didn't teach you. That means there was something in you was weak and that God needed to strengthen. It's on you whether you want to take that lesson to learn something about yourself, to learn something about your life, to learn something about your life in the world to be better. Or if you're just going to let it keep sinking you and sinking you and sinking you and driving you back down to the past. I still don't know exactly why I went through so much of the stuff that I did, because sometimes I think about it and I'm like, oh, you know, that's a testimony I could share. But then a part of me is like, is that really meant for you to share? Like, are you really supposed to tell the world that? Like, that's kind of crazy, sis. I don't know. So I try to separate myself from what I'm supposed to do with the stories and information I have about my life or about my past, and just know that regardless if there's anything I'm supposed to do with it or not, it was literally supposed to happen. Like, once you start really accepting the fact that what happened to you, there was no other way. Like, there was no other way. You can really start to get over it and accept it and just let it be a part of your story. Some of the things that happen to us are very tragic, very sad, but you could also have a very boring, bland life. I mean, it's hard to be a conqueror. It's hard to be a survivor. But doesn't that make you feel so good? Like, to know that you can come through it and that you can have triumphed that, you know, other than being a victim of your story, being like, oh, I went through this, I went through that. You know, you can be like, yeah, I did that. God pulled me through, period. All the hardship. You're supposed to be able to look at that and become better. And you can pour that wisdom into somebody else. That'd be a friend, a child, a niece, a nephew, like somebody. You know, it's not all about a calling or a platform. It might be for somebody that just really needs that. If you wouldn't have took that left turn, you would have took a right. And that might sound like, well, yeah, that's a good thing I wouldn't be here today. But that means you need to be more grateful and look at everything that you have right now on today that is worth something. Our minds are geared towards negativity. So the more you look at a situation negatively, the more you're going to find that's negative. And it's going to be even harder and harder to pinpoint something positive. And even when you do pinpoint something positive, it's not going to hold that much weight. You feel me? Like, you know how when you having a great day, if one bad thing happens, you might be like, man, all right, it's whatever though, I'm having a good day. But if you having a horrible day and a beautiful thing happens, you like, but still, this you're gonna point out everything else bad that happens. Something being hard is not necessarily a bad thing. Your life is hard because it's supposed to be hard. Life is supposed to be hard, and you're supposed to win, whatever that looks like. Whatever that win looks like, you're supposed to win. Stop expecting everything to be so easy. You'll have seasons where things will be easy, and you'll get to live your soft, safe, easy life. But right now, if it's hard, let it be. Do the hard work until life can be easy for you. And then you can help others not have to go through so much that you had to go through so they can get to that easy part. But regardless of whatever, we all gonna have a hard time in life. But you gotta look at your situation to be able to find the good, or you'll forever be mad or sad about it and how hard your life has been. You gotta find a blessing and attribute how hard your life has been to how strong you are. A lot of people lately have been coming against the whole strong black woman thing. Like, they don't want to be a strong black woman, or they don't want to be Superman or whatever. And I get that. Or Superwoman, I get that. But no, I want to be strong. I still want to be a strong black woman. I can be soft and still be a strong woman. Like, I want to be strong. I'm not God, and I never will be, but I can be Superwoman, and I'm okay with being able to do all the things and still having my balance of living a soft life and living my life for God, period. Pooh. Like, what you talking about? So I think the biggest thing in getting to that place of ease in your life is accepting the fact that your life is hard and being okay with it, and knowing that it won't be that way forever, and also knowing that this thing goes back centuries, okay? Back to the BC times, you hear me? God didn't abandon you, and he's not going to. It's just part of the process, okay? He wants you to learn to trust him and have faith in him and stick with him and continue to stay with him even when you don't sense him. You turn to another God, you turn to praising something else, giving something else your attention, your love and your faith. He's going to see that. He's still going to love you, but he wants you to come higher with him. That's my experience, y'all. It's okay for your life to be hard. Appreciate that and conquer that thing, okay? That's it for today, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I love y'all so much, and until the next one, and peace and love. I'm out.